Well, hello there, YouTube. Today we are going to be discussing why I once quit Warframe, why I recently came back, my opinions about the state of the game, as well as on my journey. My name is TonkaClava, and thank you for joining me. For today's video, though, we are going to have to go back far, 9 years to be exact. Yes, indeed. So what you are looking at right here, right now, is the very first Warframe video that I ever made 9 years ago. It's pretty crazy to look back at this right now, and you're probably noticing that the gameplay is a little rough, and by a little rough, I mean, what the fuck is going on? I'm doing a solid, what is that, like 100 damage? It's a little hard to tell with the quality of this. About halfway through the video, the music just completely stops out of nowhere. I think the funniest part about the video, though, is that I made it with the specific reason of showing off how powerful I was. I wanted to show off how much damage I could do. I thought that this amount of damage that I was doing was utterly ridiculous, so I just had to make a video about it, and I titled it, "Why You Need the Tigress." Now, for those of you who are astute Warframe players, you may have noticed something about that video. I really was not doing a whole lot of damage, but to be fair, I was still pretty new at the game. I really had not been playing it for that long up until this point. Why don't we go ahead and advance an entire year and see how much better I was doing then?
Why, hello there everybody, my name is Slip, and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to get the Frost Warframe again. So I did a video like this about, I think, 8 or 9 months ago, and it is so far my most popular video. Shows me that you guys like it, so I'm going to do it again, this time actually commentary though. Also, I'm sorry for the bad graphics. This mission actually really lags me because of the boss that you fight.
This video isn't exactly a perfect example, but it is the best that I have, as I had mostly stopped making Warframe content around this point. However, you will probably still be able to notice that I lack general game understanding and mechanics, and also, even though you can't 100% tell in this video, my builds are awful. I can just tell you from experience, as you know, this was me, I lived through this. My builds were awful, and I felt like I had hit a complete brick wall where I just could not progress anymore. That was part of the reason as to why I stopped making videos about Warframe.
I'm actually getting really damaged here because I need some energy. Can one of you guys please? Nobody likes to drop energy.
Alrighty, so here we are back on my old account. I just wanted to take a moment to look around my ship and see what all is happening here, see exactly how far I got, and we can also take a moment to look at my stats and see what's going on there. So in terms of Warframes, I really don't appear to have that many. I mean, I have a decent few, but it really is not a whole lot. What's kind of funny here is I actually have last equipped the Tigress, which is the same weapon that I made that video about. These are my primary weapons, not a whole lot again. These are the secondary weapons, again, not a whole lot. And then the melee weapons, which I have a little bit more of than the primary and secondary, but still really not a whole lot. I want to check if I have a pet, and I do actually. The pet that I have is Lizzie, and that is the same name of the cat that my parents had, and my parents actually still have that cat to this day. She is still alive. Oh yes, I never pledged to any syndicate, and I remember this specifically. I cannot believe that I specifically chose because I just didn't understand them, and I chose to just never look it up. I never pledged to any syndicate on this account, which I find crazy now. Okay, I suppose that we should take a look at these stats here, see what I've got in terms of playtime and everything. So we've got 216 hours of playtime. The gross income that I have is genuinely gross. That is very low, especially compared to my playtime. My goodness, the star chart progress is not complete, nor was Steel Path ever done at all. My quit rate is actually kinda high, to be honest. And in terms of the combat stats as well, I'd have to say that they're pretty low, especially compared to the amount of playtime that I have. Oh, and here are my favorite weapons and everything, and that's really it. Although I do have quite a few revives on this account, I won't lie. We can also look at my most used equipment here. As you can see, I used Rhino the most, and that was because I did not know how to build any other Warframe. But funny enough, I honestly didn't even know how to build Rhino either, and I just used his iron skin constantly to be invincible. I also liked Loki, which is kind of funny. I rarely use him nowadays, if ever, to be honest. No offense to Loki mains, by the way. Here are my top weapons as well as some of my top secondaries here, as well as some of my top melees here. We will compare all of the stats on this account with my main account later in the video. You may also notice that my ship has very little decor. It is quite ugly, I will not lie to you. Let's check the personal quarters though and see if I put anything in here, and it would appear that I put absolutely nothing in here whatsoever. No decor. Very cool. Very cool. I wonder what my operator looks like. Just out of curiosity. Oh, interesting. Okay, I have not looked at this operator actually in like 7 years or whatever, however long it's been, so that's pretty interesting. I wonder if I take off the mask though. Oh wow, there he is. There he is in all of his glory. It was sad because I had reached a point where I felt like I had no idea what to do anymore. Every single time I logged onto the game, I just kind of stood around. Sometimes I decorated things, but I didn't feel like I really had anything to do. Now looking back, it's hilarious because I had so much to do. Even at this point in the game, there was still so much that I hadn't explored. In fact, in 2017, they added Plains of Eidolon, which was the first open world in Warframe, and I kind of like refused to play that. It was this weird thought I had in my head that it wouldn't be any good because Warframe had never done an open world before, and now I know that it's absolutely amazing. I love all of the open world sections in Warframe. Doing the open world bounties are some of my favorite parts of the game, genuinely. But I really just refused to look and think deeper about the game, and of course I can blame that on being a kid. I was quite young, and I think that was part of my issue. I was simply too young to truly enjoy the game, and that's okay. I gave it a try, and I did like what I could like, and I played it quite a lot. Over this time, I played it for about 2.5 years, starting in 2016. I had basically completely stopped playing the game by 2019, and I would only log on occasionally to sort of try and get back into it, but I never really could. For the next few years, sometimes I would get an urge to come back to the game, but every single time that I would end up closing it within an hour because I'd end up getting confused or bored or whatnot. I just didn't feel like I knew what was going on. So then, what happened? About 8 months ago, I was very bored, and I was looking for a new hobby or something new to do. I hadn't been playing many video games lately, as none of them could interest me for very long, and none of them could keep me hooked. But I had a desire and a specific image of a game that I was looking for. A detailed, sort of sprawling, lore-driven looter shooter with immense possibility and options that I could play for many years. This began a sort of sequence of me searching for that game, without realizing that that game was Warframe, but it's okay. It took a little bit to get there. First, I tried RoboQuest. I had a lot of fun with this game, and I put in a decent amount of hours into it. I would recommend it to those who enjoy more roguelite games. I personally loved it, but it did not have enough of the looting or the customization or the lore aspects to keep me truly hooked. I tried out Crab Champions. Yes, I was kind of trying out everything. I did not play this one for nearly as long as RoboQuest, but I did have a little bit of fun with it. Third, I tried out Megabonk, a much newer game that also has some roguelite qualities. I had the same shortcomings, though, as I had with RoboQuest. This was when I decided that I had to try something different. Helldivers 2. And this was actually the final straw for me. It was what finally pushed me to give Warframe another try after so many years of setting it aside. I was personally not a big fan of Helldivers 2, and I mean that in no offensive way whatsoever to those who enjoy it. I know that a lot of people do. But it did make me realize what I was truly looking for in a game. I was looking for a game with all of the qualities of Warframe. I was simply too nervous to get back into Warframe and try to understand it again, considering how much had changed and the state that I had left my account in. Finally, with those games behind me, I re-downloaded Warframe and gave it another shot. But I knew that I would have to do it in another way than all those other times that I had done it before and just immediately quit. So instead of retrying on my old account, I created a brand new Warframe account. TonkaClava was born 5 months ago. Getting back into Warframe has been incredibly fun for me, and I appreciate it so much. I'm just so glad to have come back when I have, as well as so many incredible additions have been added to the game. Here's just a short list of some of the new additions since I originally left in 2019. We got Kuva Liches. We got the New War. What an amazing quest. We got Duviri. We got the Helmet. We got Archon Shards. We got Crossplay. Importantly, we got Steel Path. So I wanted to note this because when we were looking at the stats of my old account earlier, and I was surprised that I hadn't even tried Steel Path, I had forgotten that Steel Path wasn't even in the game at that point. It feels so typical to me now because I've been doing it for a few months and it had been so many years since I had played before then. But yeah, Steel Path had not actually been added yet, so that's why I never tried it on that account. I suppose there wasn't as big of an incentive to completely finish the star chart back then. It has been so much fun to explore all of these new features and try to understand the game again starting from scratch. Luckily though, I have had a lot of help from YouTube. I'd like to give a shout out to some of the YouTubers that have helped me get back into Warframe again, starting with the biggest one, NDD20. NDD20 started his journey with Warframe just a little over 4 months ago, which was shortly after I had made this new account. Watching Endy, someone who takes games so seriously and gets so invested, play through Warframe from start to finish has been incredibly inspiring and enjoyable. I want to give the largest thank you that I can to Endy. I have absolutely loved the entire series. Thank you so much for doing it, and thank you so much for doing the series in the way that you did it. If you haven't watched it, you have to go watch it. It is the best playthrough of Warframe on YouTube, period, in my opinion. Other Warframe YouTubers that have helped me to greatly understand the game again with all of the new changes include Tactical Potato, which is a YouTuber that I actually did used to watch back when I played in 2016. The Kengineer, who has helped me a lot on my builds. And Warframe Flow, a newer content creator who had videos that really helped me get back into the game. Thanks to these YouTubers and many, many more that I've been watching a lot lately, I have been able to get back into Warframe in a way that I've never been into a game before. Also, just to make it clear, I am absolutely in love with the state of the game now. I love all of the new additions and I love everything they have done. So why don't we take a little bit of time to look at the stats on my new account. When thinking of these new stats and the old stats on my old account and everything, we do have to keep in mind that the game was very, very different at that time. A lot has changed. Like, as I mentioned, Steel Path did not even exist when I used to play, so of course I would not have any of that completed on that old account. I should have mentioned this earlier, honestly, when we were looking at everything, but yeah, it also probably explains why I had such little equipment. Alrighty everybody, here we are finally back on my actual main account that I use today. This is the account that I have now been playing for about 5 months, and we are here to compare everything with my old account. However, I do want to make important note once again that the game has changed a lot, so let's keep that in mind when comparing everything. You may notice that I have a little bit more decor in my ship today than I used to. However, the rest of it is still kinda empty, but I do have an excuse. You see, I recently removed everything. I had a lot more decor not too long ago, but I recently removed everything to do a full redecoration. I simply haven't gotten around to it yet. Now let's actually look at my account though. As you can see, I am mastery rank 29 on this account, which is significantly higher than I ever got to on my original Warframe account. I also do not have a whole lot of operation scores, so there isn't much to see here, but when we scroll down to the general stats, things start to get pretty interesting. As you see, I don't really have a whole lot more playtime than I did on my original account, but the gross income is tremendously higher. I will put a direct comparison up on screen for you guys. My star chart progress is complete. My steel path progress is not though, and I have no excuse because steel path does of course exist now. I just need to get around to it. When we look at the combat stats, it's also very, very different. I have way more kills and way more hits comparatively in terms of the playtime that we have. You can also look at the most used equipment and see how my favorites differ. And finally, you can see some team stats, and I do find it interesting that I actually have way less revives on this account, even though I have more playtime. I guess I'm less of a team player nowadays. Now let's go ahead and go look at my arsenal, why don't we? I have way more Warframes, as you all can see on this account compared to my old account. I also have comparatively way more primary, secondary, and melee weapons, and I'll just go through them quickly. But I do want to once again note that many of these weapons were simply not in the game when I used to play, so it makes sense that I would not have had them on that old account. Scrolling through all of these really puts into perspective just how many weapons Warframe has. It is absolutely absurd. And I also want to show you guys my pets here. So I do indeed also have a cat, except this cat is not named after a real cat. Its name is Boopington. I also have a dog named Minion, as well as a dog named Rebecca, who is still dressed up for Christmas. Now we can also look at my equipment and check my most used equipment and compare that really quickly if anybody is interested to do so. You can all see that I have a very different taste in everything compared to what my taste used to be, both in Warframes and weapons. It's quite interesting to see. And on this main account, as you can see, I have actually done syndicates. I have not ignored syndicates, and I have done a lot of standing work. I actually really enjoy upping my standing with a lot of the different factions. It's very fun, although I still do have some way to go. I also must take a minute to talk about my helmet, which is named Larry, and that is indeed named after a real cat that I myself own. Larry is my boy. I love him so much, and for some reason I decided to name this monstrous entity after him. Thank you guys so much for watching this little video of mine. That mostly concludes all of it. I really just wanted to go over my journey with Warframe, the reasons why I originally quit and how I came back, the reasons why I came back, and why I'm enjoying it so much more now than I ever did before. It is true that Warframe simply has a tremendous amount of additional content compared to when I used to play it, a lot more things to do, but at the same time, I don't feel like I was playing it in the right way. And not that there is a right way to play a video game. No, what I'm really talking about here is just personally the right way for me to enjoy a video game or a piece of art. Watching some of these YouTubers, especially YouTubers like Endy, have really allowed me to appreciate the story of Warframe, and Warframe has an incredible story. The lore is really something that you should look into if you haven't before. I am so glad to be back into the Warframe community finally, and I am so excited to see what is to come next. Thank you all for watching, and I hope that you have a great one. Peace out, my friends.